You're listening to Lucid Cafe. I'm your host, Wendy Halley. Hey, thanks for joining me. So I've got some exciting news. It's exciting for me. I don't know if it'll be exciting for you, but I'm going to share it. So Raven's Daughter, the novel I released last year, I just found out it won Best Visionary Fiction Book of the Year by the Cover Visionary Awards. How about that? It's so cool. So if you're not familiar with the book, Raven's Daughter is a genre-bending, dream-laced story about a reluctant shapeshifter, a mind virus of deception, and the power of rewriting your story from the inside out. The book explores the intersection of myth, mind, and machine in a world where truth is unraveling and where one woman may hold the key to restoring balance. For those who feel the world shifting, who trust dreams more than headlines, and who believe there's power in remembering who we truly are, Raven's Daughter, the Story Keeper, might be right up your alley. So to check it out, please look for the link in the show notes, or you can get a copy pretty much anywhere you buy books, online, or you can order a copy from your local bookstore. All right, today's episode is a fun one. My guest, Colette Baron-Reid, wants to teach you how to doodle your dreams and desires into existence in her new book, which was co-authored by artist Anna Denning, called The Art of Manifesting, a meditative drawing practice to rewire your brain and create your reality. In this episode, Colette discusses the origins of the beginner-friendly doodle-based manifestation method she calls frequency art. To give you an idea of what a frequency drawing looks like, I've used one of my drawings for this episode's graphic. A little bit about Colette. She is a best-selling author, internationally recognized oracle expert, a spiritual intuitive, and personal transformation thought leader. With 19 best-selling oracle card decks, along with 7 books, and with over 38 years clean and sober under her belt, Colette's greatest joy is teaching people they can have a direct and personal dialogue with the universe to help them create their most fulfilling lives. So please enjoy my conversation with Colette Baron-Reid. Colette, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
So excited to be here. So excited.
I'm so excited to have you here. Okay, so you have written a new book. You actually have written quite a few books, but your latest book really got my attention. The Art of Manifesting, a meditative drawing practice to rewire your brain and create your reality. I love this approach. The idea of using art to help you create your reality. So I was in. Sign me up.
And your drawings are stunning. I know people are not going to be able to see this because it's audio only, but I was blown away by what you showed me. So
Really?
we will talk about, it's gorgeous what you did. I mean,
thank you. I just assumed.
Amazed.
Yeah.
We're constantly amazed at what people actually do when they use the techniques that we teach, and what can come out of people who don't necessarily even call themselves artists, but because it is a doodle practice that you don't have to be an artist to go do.
Exactly.
And
you can't screw it up.
You can't. And it's always really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like it's you can't
that's why I was
up.
like, well, yeah, I don't think you can screw it up. So I appreciate the compliment, but it's like, I
it's
imagine
very
everyone's is really beautiful. Everyone's piece, everyone who does this will be surprised probably at
We'll be surprised. Yeah.
how lovely their finished products come out. So yeah, getting ahead of ourselves, what are we talking about?
Want me to get into how it all happened, or how art?
Well, yeah, the marriage of art, manifesting is a really loaded topic. I want to kind of, before we get into your book specifically, I want to hear a little bit about your manifesting journey.
Perfect.
What drew you to the practice to begin with? I know you cover it in your book a bit, but I'd love to hear what drew you to the practice. And I think more specifically, what's really intriguing to me is Your perspective on manifesting, has it evolved over the
Oh yeah.
years?
Oh yes.
And in what ways? How do you understand it better now than you did back in the day?
Okay. So 40, I have to I will tell you the entire story in as short a way as I can,
Okay.
because everything began when I got clean and sober 40 years ago. So I just hit 40 years of sobriety. And when I got sober, I hung around with all these people that were also in recovery. And we would go to meetings, we would go to recovery groups, but we would also go to the Tibetan temple for meditations on Tuesday nights. And we would go to Unity Church on Sundays. And because they had cool music, they played guitar and they meditated, and it was non-denominational. So, I mean, I was doing I had devoted myself to a spiritual path, but right off the bat, I was introduced to Unity Church. Now, at Unity, I was introduced to all these authors. So I snorted all these books, like, from Ernest Holmes and like Science of Mind and all of the New Thought, or the OGs, the original
Yeah,
ones. They
right.
were all
Yeah.
there at the library and I'm like, what is this? Right? You can create reality. What do you mean by that? And that the concept of thought and the power, the positive imaging, Norman Vincent Peale, but particularly an author named Catherine Ponder, who wrote two books that were absolutely life-changing for me. One of them was called The Dynamic Laws of Prayer, and the other one was called The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. And so the concept was that with our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs, we see the world reflected external to us at some point, right? That when we choose a path of unfolding. But when the manifesting part of this made total sense when I took a little mini workshop there on how to make a treasure map. So treasure mapping was very distinct to Unity. And it was all about creating a collage, which then actually became vision boards like this. And so we're going back 40 years. Okay.
Okay.
40 years, right? There's no internet 40 years ago. We didn't even have cell phones when I did, like we
I
were,
remember. Yes.
right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I remember this. And so they taught this little workshop about if you place the pictures or symbols of that which you want to create in your life, you will see that out pictured. Now, this is not that dissimilar to what was taught in The Secret, right? But which I think was all of these former teachings were not quite there. Because we only had so much information about how the universe worked, because post-materialist science had not yet become a thing. And
Right.
we were still seeing the separation of matter and spirit, or matter and consciousness. And we didn't have this whole giant, manifesto for post-materialist science where all these different, great thinkers of our world right now have signed to say that consciousness is fundamental to all life, right? So that wasn't part of the conversation. So we're still seeing things like over there. So I want something that's not there yet. So what I struggled with, I did all these vision boards. I've done over 40 of them, by the way. And so they became a pictorial, symbolic representation of that which I wanted. Now,
Okay.
I never got anything that I was wanting. I got it when I didn't want it anymore, right? I literally, every single thing has happened on those vision boards once I surrendered them. And the
Right.
ones that I really didn't have too much attachment to were the ones that actually came quite quickly. Like I really didn't have, well, if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't, but be good,
So
right?
that's
And
an important piece.
that's a
Yeah.
huge piece that no one taught me. Nobody taught me the actual distinction of the difference. But I understood it in terms of the hungry ghosts of the Tibetan concepts of, you never are satisfied when you're always in wanting, and I come from an addiction background. So, but what I saw was that there was an uncanny relationship between my changing, my own personal transformation, and the capacity for me to contain more abundance in my life. and that I had to change myself in order to meet those ideas that I thought that I would have in my life. I couldn't have those things until I became the person that could. Right up in the very beginning, the small things like being fed, right? Those were the small things. Like, like when I started practicing this stuff, when I was newly sober, and my parents had lost everything, and so I was on my own, and so that there was no money, and I was living hand to mouth. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
And at one point, I had paid all my bills, my rent, everything was paid. But I realized I ran out of money, and all my clients, because I was doing readings at the time, this is still early on. So this was at 2 years, because 2 years in was when I left my partner at the time. And then I started doing readings. So 3 years into recovery. So I'd say 37 years ago.
Like intuitive readings or?
Yeah, intuitive readings.
Okay.
So that is what I do regularly. I'm sure you'll tell your audience that. Yeah. I am an intuitive. I've written books. I've had 19 Oracle card decks that are bestsellers worldwide, blah, blah, blah.
Right,
So,
right.
and I'm
Yes.
also an artist, and I made a living as an artist in the early 80s, painting on people's clothes and their leather jackets. And I made a living doing that for 2 solid years while I was in recovery. So, and then quit the art when the readings started happening. So what happened was, I was struggling because I realized, oh shit, I don't have any money to feed myself. But I remembered them saying about tithing. So I thought, okay, well, if I give this away and then I trust and have faith that something is going to happen, that my needs will be met, I think I'm just going to go do that. So there was a guy that was sitting in front of I'll never forget it. He was the same unhoused man that would sit in front of the Chicken Chalet restaurant at the corner of St. Clair and Yonge Street. And I went and got him a dinner. I had so much money left over, and I was like, I'm going to buy this guy dinner. I'll never forget it. He sent me in for more sauce and ketchup. And I'll never forget that. I was like, okay, I'll go get you more. And then when I went home and I realized I didn't have any dog food, and I was so pissed off because the neighbor down the hallway was having a big giant party. She's making so much noise. And I'm like, I always doodled. Now at the time, I didn't see what's at the foundation of my book, which is the doodle process part. But I just naturally took a pen to paper, a pencil to paper, or whatever.
This is way back. Yeah.
Way back. So I always drew. So I was like, okay, thy will be done through me. I'm going to trust this. I'm going to, trust turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand God. I'm going to trust that thy needs will be met. And I'm just going to, and I drew myself to sleep basically. And but I doodled eyes and those are the things that I painted on people's clothes too, right? My doodles. So what happened was the next day I get a knock at the door, and I'm nervous and trying to be in faith at the same time. So I was a bit confused, but I was about to go out to whatever I did. And the woman from the party comes and says, I just want to apologize for all the noise. I have all this food. I have all this food. Would you like it? I'm like, yes. Right. Oh. So I had enough food for a week. Then a guy called and said, you really helped me. And, I was suicidal, and I heard you speak at a thing, and you talked about your story, and I'm a painter. Can I come and paint your apartment? I said, well, I can't pay you, but I can feed you. Right. So it was just this weird, because my place needed painting. It was awful. So there was just all these weird little coincidental things that happened. Yeah. Right. And then I found the missing dog food shoved in the back of a cupboard and I had looked there and it wasn't there. Right. So it was
no shit. Okay.
But all these things were there. So again, I'm still, working on me and seeing myself in these experiences. But while they were impossible. But while they were true for me, where I didn't want it, I could have it. It was a very big distinction of the feeling state. When I was rehearsing lack, I saw lack. When I rehearsed abundance, I saw the abundance that was right for me. Right. So and here's a perfect example of that. So, and I talk about it in the book too, because I really believe I've lived 2 parallel lives so that I could teach that to people. One life came when every day I was on my knees. Thy will be done through me. Oh, P.S. I want a record deal. Thy will be done through me, right? You know what I mean? Use me as thou wilt. That was a prayer of mine. Relieve me of the bondage of self so that I may better do thy will, right? And there we go. And readings came and I'm like, oh, I don't really do this. I'm really a singer. Don't come back next year. And I was like so good at it. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. There was like a big chip on my shoulder. I was
Isn't that
raised
interesting? Yeah.
right, academics, parents. I went to law school. I just wanted to be a singer. I was a big disappointment. I was the black sheep of the family. Poof. So never mind, I was an alcoholic and a drug addict on top of all of that, and rape survivor, you name it, I went through it. And I'm like, no, 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 I want this life, and I'm putting it in like Uber Eats, right? Like that's what I've been taught. If I make a drawing and if I do it, and if I stare at it long enough, and if I make it as detailed as possible, which is what so many people get the goal really clear and then have it there. I failed miserably at that. And the thing I didn't care at all about was the readings. And then I started teaching what I was learning. And then I was interested in the healing arts because I thought, well, I need a day job. I became an aromatherapist. I studied rebirthing, holotropic breath work, all the stuff that's popular now. But these were the things this is for, 37
Long
years
time ago.
ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
long time ago. Stanislav Grof, like all of the,
Yep.
again, I studied Jungian psychology. I was fascinated with symbols. My dad had taught me how to read Turkish coffee cups when I was a kid. And he taught me about spirit animals and all these things. It all came up. But meanwhile, I'm like supposed to be a lawyer and I'm a disappointment. And this, and oh my God, I'm gonna be Madame
That's
Zora
a
in the corner.
lot. Yeah.
Get it? Right. So fast forward years later.
Okay.
Music failed. I didn't care anymore. I was really surrendered that this is not working for me. And I had done I don't know how many boards about record deals, and I even put the name of the record company down, everything,
Okay.
right?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
which Capitol Records. Okay,
And you
so
nailed it.
yeah, I got the record deal from EMI
And then you,
Music, which was Capitol
that's
Records when I was
amazing. Yeah.
40. So the story is that when I let it go and I didn't care anymore. I got it because I recorded Journey Through the Chakras, which was the first of its kind back, I don't know what, 25 years ago. Nobody had like multi-track recordings of meditations, etc. It was the first thing. It was like an enigma,
I think I
right?
remember that.
Yeah, it was the number
Yeah.
one record
Yeah.
for a short period of time. And then the head of Virgin Records heard it and loved it. And it all came about that I ended up at the record company that I had put there. And the A&R guy who had told my manager years before that he didn't hear any talent in my voice was like so blown away by my music. And I had a resentment for him for like 10 years. And I said to
Uh-huh.
him, I said, I need to show you something. And I said, I can't believe you're the same guy that said those things. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I
Well,
was,
that must have felt kind of like a little bit of a sweet
yeah,
come around.
no, but the message wasn't, yes, it was a sweet go around, but the message was about the manifesting. It's like, yes, there was some great things there, but I had to let go the dream. And
Right.
then when I was ready to see it for what it really was, which it wasn't for me, right? The music business was not for me, right? It wasn't for me. I got everything I wanted and it would have destroyed me. I would have
Yeah, it's
drank.
not an easy business. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
got it when I was ready and it was like use me as thou wilt kind of thing. And I was doing all this at the same time. I got a book deal with Hay House and I had to make a choice. And the thing I wanted my entire life, and the universe gave it to me when I was strong enough to have been able to say, this is unhealthy for me. The thing I
Okay.
wanted my whole life is going to kill me. Right.
That's so cool. Yes. All right.
So the universe will give us what we are ready for. So what I learned and what and I've been teaching the concept of manifestation as part of personal transformation because you can't have one without the other. Unless it's just like parking spots or t-shirts at a store or like Japanese block t-shirt, you know what I mean? Like whatever it is. There's a dynamic between not what you don't get what you want, you get what you are. You get what you rehearse. You get what you believe yourself to be,
Mm.
right? Go
That's a
ahead.
wicked powerful comment. That's what I really wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive with you about is the power of the unconscious. How many of us are aware that we're doing that, that we're actually sabotaging ourselves? And how do you recommend that people become aware of the ways in which they're actually getting in their own way?
So again, everything, everything I teach is something I've been through. I've been on the other side of it, and I know how to take you through this, right? So
Hmm.
that I don't ever teach anything yeah, which is the book,
It,
The Art of
yeah, I mean,
Manifestation,
yeah, you do have
which
steps in
we're
the book
talking
to
about.
do that. Yeah, but I want to hear your take on it too.
Self-reflection and really asking yourself, what is attached to this desire that I have? And go deep into the why. Is it because, like in my case, I wanted what I wanted because of redemption. I wanted to believe that I was useful and that I could make an impact on the world. That was a thing, that all the shit that happened to me when I was younger, could have a reason for it, and I could help other people. And I thought that music, because music really did, and it still does. I'm recording an album now. I'm going to be 68 years old, so
Nice.
music comes back the way I will do it, right? But the whole idea was that music did save me in a lot of ways. So did art. But that wasn't what the universe had in mind for me. The microphone in my hand was teaching. The microphone in my hand was mediumship. That, like me standing in front, listening to my music being played, was Hay House playing my album in front of thousands of people. Not me getting on stage as a singer-songwriter, me getting on stage and talking how I overcame the things I overcame, and the unconscious or subconscious program, the conditioned self, needs to change in order to have a different reality. And we first have to say, like, okay, well, what is it? What is it that I'm rehearsing inside myself every day? Now, I teach this and I still get afraid. I will always tell people, this is a human, we are human. So it's not as easy as it's not wiggle your nose like Samantha and
Yeah,
be,
bewitched.
it's not that. It's like
Yeah.
it's work. And it's the willingness to take a look also at what shadow part is running the show. What is that? And that's scarcity. And that's the idea of fear when we are conditioned by society to see ourselves a certain way, for example. We have to acknowledge that there are certain, like my parents were immigrants, and they had a very specific work ethic, but they were also traumatized by World War II when they came over. My mom particularly never told us what happened and where in some of our heritage. And, so that was all
Uh,
stuff, the fear. So it's like we need to go there and go, where is this active? And I had a therapist. I did this with help, with help that has been trained to do it. People who are trauma experts, people who are experts in addiction, people who are, I went and got extra help outside of, say, 12-step programs or whatever, because I knew I couldn't go there alone. And that's why it's so fantastic that we have so many great coaches and therapists out there, that we're at a place right now where the stigma is not there. I had mental health issues. If I wanted to change, I needed to look there.
dig
You
deep.
know,
Yeah.
we need to go deeper. And also right now, for example, we are unconsciously sabotaging ourselves when we let algorithms choose for us too. Like, no, it's so true.
Don't get me started on that.
No, well, we can.
Well,
We
I mean,
can.
yeah,
Why not? We're turning into, like, we
so
don't have
dangerous. Yeah.
we don't have agency, we don't have sovereignty. And the book and the exercises in the book and doing it actually restores your sovereignty, because you're not in a conditioned mindset anymore. You're like, oh, I can choose now. Wait a sec. Shouldn't I be afraid? Because all we see is the reality that is very dramatic, and that is given to us as food, right? Think about that. Who's feeding us, and who it's not, as we are not benefiting from any of it, right? We're not. Somebody else is. So if we don't want to be conditioned by everything external to us that we see, we have to choose to release ourselves from what we know is held as hostage and find something else. There are many tools, right, that can help us stay in a place of safety, openness, like peace. All of those things has to come from within. It's not going to come from outside. We
Of
can't wait
course.
till the
Yeah.
outer
No,
world
it's a great
behaves,
reframe. Yeah.
right? So,
Hmm.
so I just say, be brave and go look and see, where have you been held hostage by your thinking, by the thinking that you don't know you're thinking. Go look and see, what is it that I believe. Well, sit down with yourself. But if you have a big trauma background or whatever, go get somebody legit to help you through it. Like, yeah, I tell students in my classes too, look, I have a limitation. I'm not a therapist. I'm not, like, go and get extra help if this could be triggering for you.
Right. One of the things that I've found in the work that I've done over the years is that when people are willing to take that deeper look, that they will not uncover anything that's really surprising to them.
No, you won't be surprised.
I think that's sometimes the reluctance that they're going to open Pandora's box.
Well,
And
Pandora's box does get open because you might be suppressing all the things that you don't want to deal with too, right?
well,
That
yeah,
you're not
but
surprised and you want to shove them back in the box. But
yeah,
you're right, nothing surprising is coming out of the box.
yeah, exact.
Is that what you mean? Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly what I mean. Yeah, you're not going to uncover something that's completely, what the fuck
Shocking.
was that? Yeah. Yeah, I
No.
mean, your body remembers. And so even if you're not consciously aware, you will remember. And of course, with guidance, you can walk through that.
So you just said something really important when you talk about the body, because this is an embodiment practice. Like, that was the other thing. All this, the ways of manifesting that I learned was, it was in my head. It was it was what
Mm,
I visualized, what I could see, what I could image, and the thing that I put in front of me, what I made me feel. But it would be like, often it wasn't happening, so it made me feel mad. It was all, like I said, when I gave it up and I didn't care anymore, I was like, well, I don't even want this now. Like, what's it doing in front of me? And I'd
yeah.
be thinking that I'm doing it wrong. And a lot of people felt that way too. Like, it came kind of, but not exactly what I wanted, but that's exactly how it's supposed to come. When that hit me, that's when I started teaching it differently. Right. Also, right. It was like, this is the zone of synchronicity is when the universe decides to form, not you. It's okay. You have to start somewhere, but it's the feeling. It's in the body. I embody this. I embody gratitude in advance of the having of the experience I say I want. Therefore, I'm going to become that person, because right away, the whole neural system sets itself up for change.
Okay, so now let's talk about embodying this practice, right? Because using art, and you have a co-author, Anna Denning, who's an
Correct, I do.
artist,
She's an
and
artist, an art teacher. I met her because I joined her membership over 2 years ago, and I had developed half of this on my own. And she was teaching a number of different things, including a Russian technique that was too heavy on rules, that I didn't like it, but I liked kind of how it looked, and it reminded me of art that I was already doing. And
mm,
then we made friends, and I'm like, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested? And then the rest is history.
right.
Yeah, and she's a total nerd like me, because like our idea of porn is quantum physics books. Okay. So we're like, we are artists, and I'm a metaphysics person, and she had all my oracle cards and stuff, but she didn't know it was actually me. And then it was really crazy, and we had all this
That's a cool
coincidences.
synchronicity.
Oh yeah, she had my deck. She goes, what did you say your name was? I said, because I saw her on a video saying, I'm doing a drawing around bringing in the person, right? I just know it's a person, and my career is going to blossom. And I'm like,
Hello.
so I called her, hi, you did a drawing and I'm in your membership. My name is Colette Baron-Reid. She goes, what did you say?
That's
Yeah, Colette
very
Baron.
cool.
She goes,
Yeah.
the card of the deck lady.
I don't know if you are referring to this style of approaching art as neurographic art.
We are not doing neurographic art.
Okay.
Neurographic art is specific to the technique that is designed. It's mistakenly referenced as neurographic art. Neurographic art and neurographica belongs to a Russian
Okay, so that's a
creator.
totally
That's a
different,
totally different thing. It's psychological. No, it's
it has a
the
different
different,
purpose.
and it
Yeah.
has different meanings. Like, even the lines mean something very different. Ours is about flow and
Yeah.
synchronicity, and it's about frequency. They represent frequency, and his represents moving against resistance. So it's completely different. But no, it is under the umbrella of the neuro arts.
Okay.
So
All right.
neuro arts is an umbrella term for any kind of art that the doing of which shifts neuroplasticity. So it's intentional art. So ours is called frequency art. They all look similar. Zentangle looks similar. It's a meditation form of art, which they use these little tangles and that make big, drawings. And then there's all kinds of different art technique, neurodoodle, zen doodle. They have all different names, but they
Yeah.
all look similar because they're line art. And they all have circles and triangles and wavy lines and but what we make them mean, the symbolism, what this means in this drawing is specific to our method, which is called frequency art, because we are depicting the frequency of conversation, which is the symbolic representation of the broadcast to and from the universe, from us to the universe answering us. And that is our frequency that we broadcast to the universe, and the frequency of how it responds. And then what we see as a result of it. That is why ours is very different. It's very specific
I like the
to,
idea of a conversation too. That's
yeah,
a very cool way to frame it.
yeah, it represents conversation. But there's some extraordinary artists like who really was very much an original interest of mine was Greg A. Dunn. His paintings or his drawings, or some of his original ones, are at my friend's office, and he was a neuroscientist that in 2010 became an artist, and he drew these extraordinary drawings of neurons, and so did Raymond Cajal. No, I always get his name wrong. Anyway, Santiago Ramon de Cajal. He is the head, the originator of neuroscience in the late 1800s, and he also drew. So there's really wild, and we notice in our drawings that they start to look cellular, and
They
they
do,
look like
yeah.
DNA ribbons, like yours did. The gratitude bubbles start looking like cells. So we believe that what we're drawing are mirror neurons. And again, we had the science, the research behind it. We're not scientists, but we're both nerds. So we had a phenomenal research assistant who went out and found all this, and we can prove it. Like we have all the pieces of it now that's backed by science. It's like, we are the artists. We are the spiritual. But we're like, okay, let's go find some science that tells us this is true. And if it is true, then we need to tell people. And that's what we did, because it is true. And now we're telling people. This is a way for us to change ourselves, to get back into a sense of flow, get into that flow state by not thinking our way through
Exactly.
it, by moving our
It
arm.
forces you to get out of your head, unless you start criticizing the work that you're doing, and then you have to.
Then you have to get out of your head.
Yeah, exactly.
My friend does that. She's such a good artist. She goes, I don't like my drawings. I'm like, well, you got to start it again then, and wait till you get out of your head.
Well, that's good advice. Yeah. So if anyone does that, start over.
Yeah. And it's not about the beauty of it, even though there is beauty in it. It's about the feeling, and your hand is making a mark on paper. You are making your mark on paper and rehearsing a state of being while you are marking the paper. And and you are doing it in a symbolic, ritualistic way that your body then takes on as, oh, this is real, right?
So
and
it's healing as well.
It is. Oh yeah, I started using it for food noise because I've always had a bit of I had an eating disorder when I was young, and just recently I decided, well, I'm struggling. Everybody's getting, like the whole focus on weight, etc. And I've struggled with this. And so I'm like, if this would work for that. And so far, so good. It's like, I'm
processing out.
Yeah. I just sort of
the noise in your interior world.
Well, what I do is instead of thinking of noise at all, I doodle peace.
Okay.
I doodle peace with my food. Like you can do it with pretty much anything, which is fascinating. Says I never thought of it. That's not in the book, but I just started trying it like recently, not too long ago. And I'm like, peace with the food. And I did a drawing for inspiration around music. And I didn't ask for specifics. I wanted the inspiration back. I wanted to feel
to get
connected.
to a state.
Yeah. I'm looking for states of being. So I rehearse the state without knowing the outcome.
I love that. Yeah. So come to find out, it's a versatile practice.
It's very personal. It's not one size fits all. It's personal.
And versatile. Yeah.
And it is personal. And it's also,
I said versatile with a V.
Versatile?
I said versatile. It's also versatile.
Oh, versatile. It's versatile. And it's personal and versatile.
Yes, it's both.
I'm sorry. I was listening. Versatile. I love that. It is versatile. And I have no idea what else it can do until I find out.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Stay tuned. But it does, I think what we need now, no matter what, is a little more joy, a little bit more play,
Just a little.
and
Yeah, please.
just a, too much.
A little bit, you know.
Without waiting, without looking outside of ourselves, going like, oh my God, oh, everything is bad, everything is going to be bad. My husband is great. He's very pragmatic and very grounded. And he's like, history keeps repeating itself. This was going, a different version of this happened this time and that time and that time. Go, let's sit down and look. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, and, you know,
And
and what do you
here we
teach
are.
people?
Yep.
And I'm like, right, you know, that we can, if we don't look, if we acknowledge that that exists, and both and can be true at the same time.
Hmm. But you can be in relationship with it in a different way, is what you're suggesting.
Correct.
And that
You
does
can
seem to
be in a
be
very neutral relationship with that which you cannot control.
neutral is a perfect word, but that takes practice, of course.
You can't do it just because you want to.
Yeah.
And the neutral gives you energy. So
Yeah.
when you neutralize the charge around what you're seeing, right? Because you when you're being bombarded by images that are upsetting, you're going to be upset, and you're going to want to feel
Mhm.
you're naturally going to have a reaction. So, well,
That's how we're wired.
yeah, and we're very easily manipulated, right? So it's
Just
like,
a tad. Holy shit.
right?
Yeah.
So I'd like to manipulate myself personally. Me personally, I would like to manipulate myself to a different reality. And yes, it takes practice. And yes, you're still going to get scared some days, and you're going to forget everything that you learn. And then you have
Mhm.
to do it again. But it's a daily practice. That's the other thing for me. That's the one thing that I learned, the most important thing that I learned in recovery, is to live one day at a time. It's one of the reasons why that I also, you know, stopped doing predictive readings as much, because I made my reputation on how good and accurate I was on predictive readings. But I'm like, well, what if you didn't know that was going to happen? Like, what if now
I
you're going
love
to become
that
an
point.
armchair astronaut? You're not going
Yeah.
to work on your life anymore now because you think, oh, she said it's going to be great.
Yeah, but then it becomes kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, because you get kind of focused in on that outcome when there could be a
A
variety of
different
outcomes.
outcome.
Yeah,
What about,
depending on where you
my
focus.
question was, what if there was something better?
Yeah, that's
What if
great.
there was something better?
But we long to have the illusion of control, so we want to know what the future outcome's going to be, which is, I think, the appeal of it, a
Yeah.
predictive reading, right?
Yep. And it's also why the word manifesting is thrown around all the time right now. Because
Right.
most people, if you look on TikTok, a lot of the real younger people who haven't really lived
Hmm.
or really failed yet often
Yeah.
enough, wait to get a little older, are seeing it as Uber Eats, right? Like, I'm going to get
Like
this
magical thinking. Yeah.
magical thinking. And
Yeah.
that might, right? And they're going to be very disappointed over time.
But that's good.
Why not? Right. But
Right. That's part of evolution, right? You have to kind of go through all that.
yes, you might run across a book like mine that will that will help you not do that, right? And
But if
realize
you're
that,
looking, I'll just play devil's advocate for a second. If you are at a evolutionary place in your life where you want to believe in a magical outcome, you want to skip the hard work, you want to get right to the outcome.
yeah,
You could even do that with your
you
book.
can
You-
learn anything.
The School of Hard Knocks, though, we all have
Yeah.
to attend.
But the other thing is about the School of Hard Knocks is this. So when people come to it for the sake of certainty, right, as opposed to meaning, right? So they want certainty and they
Good
want
distinct,
control.
good
That's
distinction.
where I
Yeah.
say people are going to get disappointed. But once in a while, the magic happens. Like, what just happened? Like, it's happened to me frequently,
Mm-hmm.
but I get it. It's for me. I want to teach people how to be curious, because the curiosity is your superpower. Not the
One of my
fact,
favorite words. Yep.
right? Not the fact that you can put an order in. It's the fact, and get something back. It's the fact that something really cool is happening. I wonder what the universe is going to match me with.
Yeah.
What
It's
form?
addictive, right? When it works out.
Yeah.
Like when you had
Oh yeah.
that really beautiful story you told about being in your apartment and
Oh yeah.
at the bottom, down and out, not knowing how you're going to
Yeah.
feed yourself. And all of these magical things just came into place. And you had completely, I don't know what I'm going to
Surrendered.
do, right? You had to surrender. You had to get to that place. And then all of these magical things happened. And you could go in a couple of different directions at that point. You could go, the universe is on my side. And maybe not have gotten the surrender part, but just sort of like, all I needed to do was wish that it'll all work out. That you see what I'm
Well,
saying?
yeah, yeah. And I do think when I look back on who I was back then, I was in awe. But I think the difference here is that I was working through, I was an addict and alcoholic.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
So that wasn't my mindset. It was more like, oh, wow, that actually happened for me.
hmm
Oh, or like, holy, this is amazing. And wow. Yeah. So, but you're right. There
But
can be,
I'm a mental health clinician, so I'm working with folks all the time on the ways in which they get in their own way. We get in our own way. And it can be a tough thing. And so everybody has to just do it in their own way, in their own timing, it seems.
yeah, yeah.
And you were, I mean, sometimes it has to get a little dark. Like you,
Well, for me,
yeah, sometimes. I'm
me,
not saying for
yeah,
everybody,
like,
not, but
no, not for
yeah,
everybody, but but
maybe,
it's a work for you the way it's meant to work for you.
yeah, everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah. And that's, I love that you pointed that out because everybody starts the journey from a different place. Like, some people come in, like I was raised, so I went to a private school. My parents worked so hard. They anglicized their last name so that we could fit into this waspy society and this fancy schmancy girls' school. And they literally lived for us that we could have this education and that we would have a chance
Yeah,
in the world. My mom believed that status and money would protect you. We know that's not true now. And also, I was born with these weirdo capacities to know things that I shouldn't know. And I didn't know where I ended and other people began. And I had, as you know, I had horrible
it's a lot.
anxiety
Yeah.
and all kinds of, I can list out what the names of those things are now today but they didn't have names when I was growing up. And I was a mess. But, culturally, I see a lot of those people manifest things because they were born to believe they were entitled to them. And that means something. It's not just having privilege, it's seeing yourself as privileged. It's recognizing, it's like really honestly expecting the thing on the other end when you are taught not to expect it, that things will be harder. Like I remember the teacher, the geography teacher, telling me that I wasn't Canadian enough because my parents had heavy accents. My dad was Serbian, my mom was German, and that was even terrible. They wouldn't touch her cake at the bake sale because it was German and all
Oh
that.
man.
Yeah, so it was a lot of prejudice back then, different than it is today. They were white, right, too, but it had its own thing. But so there's a sense that we have to try harder, we have to work harder. It has to. But then there are other people that are conditioned to see themselves
To
the way
not,
because
you're
society has. So
absolutely right. Yeah. And
nobody
some people
starts.
are,
Yeah.
yeah, some people manifest much easier than others, I guess is kind of what you're saying
Yes.
because
And
of
it's
that
not.
programming. Yeah.
Yes, and it's not their fault. And sometimes it takes a little bit more to let go the old thinking, right?
Yeah.
It's
Makes
like
sense.
so, but I've recognized that. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That has merit. Yeah, you're right. It is harder for some people, and it's not their fault that the
Right.
conditioning that they're born into says to them it's going to be harder for you. Because guess what? Nobody this group here is not going to accept you there.
hmm
It's a terrible thing that human beings have done to each other. But we can, that doesn't mean that we can't do it. Right.
Absolutely. The timing of your book is perfect too, I think, because what I'm finding in my own practice is that, and I'm using the word ripe, it's like a ripe time for healing where people can
Yeah.
really, if they want to put their energy in that direction, and I think people are feeling really pulled to do that because the
Yeah.
overwhelm is so great that a lot of
It
us are
is great.
experiencing, that you can make pretty big leaps
Yeah.
in your healing and your growth. And
Yeah.
this is a great practice to help you, your
Yeah.
book, I think. Do you want to, before we sign off, you want to talk a little bit more about how the book is kind of designed, what your hope is
Sure.
for it? And
So I'll just say that the book is Now, it does talk about a meditative drawing practice, but I just want to level the playing field and tell you it's a doodle practice. If
Right.
you know how to doodle, you can do the book. Doodle and do. That's what you got to do. If you can draw a wavy line and a circle that looks like a potato, this is my favorite line, you can do this. Okay. So nothing needs to be perfect. As a matter of fact, it's more beautiful when it isn't. So the book takes you through a process of self-revelation around why you want what you want, and then helps you get to be the person, to become the person that can have the perfect match to that energy that you put out, right? That's basically what it does. And you draw drawings, and you have, and and actually, to be honest with you, we did it over 7 weeks because we wanted people to slow down and think about, oh, and then do it again, whatever. Like I draw every day now. Like I doodle, and I doodle about everything. I like do my little circles of gratitude, and believe it or not, the fuel. So your fear can be fuel. Yes. Like I'm afraid I'm going to be where I am, because I know I've been hearing a lot of people say that, let it be that. But why? Why doesn't gratitude be fuel? Right? Because in our book, gratitude,
I like
being
that.
stupefied in gratitude is the fuel. Is your fuel to see a match in the outer world of what you genuinely want. And you're going to be so surprised that it's so different than what you're being told that you're allowed to have. That's especially if you are programmed to believe it's going to be harder for you. It's fascinating. And neuroscience, you are who you are, right? And you are built away like everybody else, right? And we are all this person. We are all the person that can have this, because we all have the same biochemistry. That, like, if you will flood yourself with feel good hormones, and you won't feel like crap or fearful anymore for at least an hour, won't you be like, well, I would make a much different choice here, would I not?
I'll take it though. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, me too. I'm going to take it. I don't care for how long it is, but eventually it becomes quite addictive because you want to keep doing it. Not because like I always believe whatever manifests is perfect. It's completely perfect. I never believed that before. And that was what the problem was. I was one of the people, like other people, like, oh, blaming myself. Well, you must have not done it right. But that was right for me.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, wait a sec. What if that was always right? Because then it makes total sense why so many people that can come together in a group, because the group is essential. That's why I'm saying we do these things in groups. Like I had 35,000 people that came to my vision board challenge this year. That's a lot of
Wow.
people online
Yeah.
together doing something good.
That's
But you
very
can also
cool.
get groups that do something harmful, and that manifests too. So we are seeing the result of people who are centered on something for an outcome, and they're seeing it.
Right.
Want
Yes.
something different for yourself? Because I have no control over what happens in the bigger picture. You can have that for you.
Great message. Also, if I'm understanding you correctly too, it sounds like a big part of what you've come to is accepting that
Yeah,
everything kind of unfolds the way it needs to.
totally.
And the cool thing about acceptance, at least from where I stand, is that you don't have to like it. It just, you accept that, okay, this is how it is, so this must be how it is.
Radical acceptance is exactly part of it. And if you don't like what you have accepted, or like you say, I've accepted this, I wonder what I need to become in order to have the next step
Hmm.
revealed.
Use it as information
Use it as information. Exactly.
rather than a punishment, or
Yeah.
see it as a failure.
No, look at it like an experiment. Life is one big fat experiment.
Yep, that's a good way to look at it too.
And if
Very
you listen to
much.
Greg Braden, he seems to think we're in a simulation. So I want to go to the next level of the game then
Well,
and
the
see
indigenous
what,
people would say this is all the dream.
right? Well,
Yep,
that's what you would say is lucid dreamer.
yep,
We're in the dream together right now.
yep. We are collectively dreaming this.
Yeah. And I'm going to collectively dream your t-shirt into being in my Amazon. My cart
Colette's
after
digging
we
my
hang up.
t-shirt. I have this koi
She looks
koi
so
fish.
cute. Yeah, which is
My little
abundant.
tomboy outfit. Yeah.
I love
My
it. I
usual.
love it. I'm like, oh, I want that. I want that. I manifested a t-shirt. I needed a new black t-shirt with a thing on it. There you go. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it so much. It really is a fun process. And like I was saying at the beginning of the interview, you can't screw it up. So to learn more about Colette, to purchase a copy of The Art of Manifesting. You'll find a link to her website in the show notes. And there's a link to my book, Raven's Daughter, in the show notes as well. I may have already mentioned that. All right, so that does it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. The season is winding down. Believe it or not, we have 2 episodes left. In the next episode, how to meditate without trying. Until next time.